From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a major night here on LALATE as more corporate earnings will release and more guidance downward for the rest of this year. What does it mean for you? We'll have the latest details tonight across the board. Tomorrow is that major speech by Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, at that Jackson Hole conference that signals how inflation will be handled and those interest rate spikes. I'll have a countdown to that as well. The new jobless claims released this morning, and it was slightly better, but it's basically the same situation. We'll go over the latest details across the board. Your benefits are going up a lot. Inflation has not peaked for those component parts. Guess what's happening? If you're a member of this channel, you see it nightly. The gasoline has tracked higher. Housing sales, home building, consumer confidence, and home builders' confidence all sagging, getting worse by the minute. While the latest details across the board, and then the news that broke yesterday on this channel, 2 new stimulus checks. We'll go over the latest details of what you need to know on a big broadcast tonight across the board. Yes, 2 new stimulus checks becoming law, and that's on top of the 7 stimulus checks that became a law 2 weeks ago. We'll have the latest details across the board in tonight's recording. That is on top of those 3 stimulus checks that have been law from the President of the United States since the month of March. $100,000 for the first 3 sets of checks, and then 7 new checks last weekend, and now 2 new checks in the last 24 to 48 hours that equate to about $104,000 to $105,000. Wow, you want to become a member? Go right in this video, become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. In this recording, we'll go over these huge checks that you qualify for. Plus, we'll have the latest details of what one economist said about this economy in tonight's recording, and we'll get a preview of what Jay Powell is going to say tomorrow. He's going to say that lobster shorts are back. He's going to say San Francisco hairstyle come back in fashion. $12 ice cream, a little bit too expensive, but I'll battle it at the Federal Reserve. Do you think Jay Powell's going to get $12 ice cream down? I don't think so. Do you think he's going to get the check to wave at him? I don't think so either. We'll have the latest emails across the board in a big broadcast. Your big money on a big broadcast. What are we going to cover? Of course, we're going to cover your economy, your recession, your inflation, your benefit raise, and also your housing market, your unemployment, and your forced stimulus. The breaking news from the shores of Santa Monica, California heats up right now for an August 25, 2022. Good evening, everybody. It's a big night across the board. It started yesterday with student loan debt forgiveness announced by the president, today with the labor numbers released, and tomorrow with Jay Powell. Jay Powell speaking at Jackson Hole tomorrow. He, of course, is your Federal Reserve chairman. He's going to talk about interest rates. He's going to talk about inflation. He's going to talk about this economy. I have a countdown to that announcement then. But we're going to start, of course, with a major story tonight, which is more corporations giving downward guidance for the end of the year. Yeah, not just for 1 month, the end of the year. Corporate earnings ended basically last week for second quarter, but now companies are giving you guidance for the rest of the year, and it's not good. Many companies getting bad guidance for the rest of this year. Dollar Tree started it when they cut full year forecasts for the rest of this year. The stock fell 6.6%. Peloton fell 17.5% after they posted misses on revenue and also income. And Abercrombie Fitch was down 10.5% when they missed on top and bottom as well. Dollar General was actually a beat as they reported better quarterly earnings for same-store sales. The stock was up. Salesforce down 6.3% when they gave full guidance downward for the rest of this year. Familiar subject matter across the board. And then Autodesk surged 9.2% when they indicated robust numbers for the rest of this year. So it's very much a mixed bag. We start this morning on Mornings LA Live on air with the new unemployment claims. Do they go down? Do they go up? They were basically about the same. They're hovering around this 243, 250 number. What do you need to know? The unemployment claims in the United States have really not been low at all. They were 140 back in April, then they went to 200, then they went to 230, then they went to 260. I projected that entire trajectory, but then I backed off because I said, I don't think I can project it thereafter, and I wasn't able to. In fact, none of us were. The number last week was 250. It came down from 260 to 250, but today they revised last week's number from 250 to 243. And then today's number that was released surged higher from 243 to 245. So it's basically the same number. It's not a good number. It's the worst, second worst number of 2022. That is new jobless claims across the board. And of course, the major news that made national news yesterday was forgiveness of student loan debt. That was announced by the President of the United States. It's exactly what I have been reporting on this channel since February. In February, I reported the President of the United States had made an internal determination. He's going to forgive $10,000 for individuals who make $150,000 or less. That's basically what he announced yesterday. If you missed that recording, I'll recap it right now. The President announced yesterday 2 student loan debt forgiveness amounts. One of them was a surprise because no one had that in their bingo card for 2022. First, he said $10,000 for all individuals. We knew that. That's why I reported since February. And that's for individuals $125,000 or less. Well, that was a surprise. We thought it was $150,000. And then for married couples, $250,000 or less. Of course, NBC News this week said it was their exclusive. I've only been reporting since February. Then the big surprise, not on our bingo card, was $20,000 of forgiveness if the student loan debt is a Pell's grant. Interesting. What I have to advise you about this is you need to see a tax preparer. And so says expert for education, Mark Krantowitz. Why? In the American Rescue Plan, the third stimulus, the Democrats got the forgiveness of student loan debt a tax-free federal event for purposes of your federal taxes. But they couldn't pass laws for states, obviously, the federal government. So what Krantowitz says, reach out to a tax preparer because you may have a big state tax burden if your debts have been forgiven. Others, you will have nothing. It's too hard to record in a video because every state has a different policy across the board. And there you go. That is student loan debt forgiveness. Jay Powell, what is he doing tomorrow? Jay Powell is meeting at that Jackson Hole conference to announce that Destiny's Child has got back together. What else is he discussing? He's discussing the divorce of Jessica Flavin and Sylvester Stallone. He has a lot to talk about tomorrow at that Jackson Hole conference. No, and he's also not talking about your 4 stimulus checks. He's not talking about that either tomorrow. He is talking about interest rates and also your situation for inflation. This is very important. Why? Because Wall Street has gotten this really wrong. Over the last 2 weeks, I've been saying that we have very clear guidance from governors, Fed governors, Bullard, Daley, Bowman, who all said the Federal Reserve will stay with those interest rate spikes, continue to do interest rate spikes monthly at those monthly FOMC meetings until they get inflation down. Where? To their target of 2%. Where is it right now? 8.5. How long has it been there? Since January. Last year, in the spring of 2021, I was the only broadcaster to say, we're going to have 8% inflation and it's not going to go away. Jay Powell said it was going to be 1 month at 2 to 3% in December of last year, and it's going to be transitory, temporary. It didn't happen. Now we've had 8% or 8.5% month after month, week after week, and last week it came in at 8.5%. The situation is unchanging, and that is why when he speaks tomorrow at Jackson Hole, he's likely to say exactly what the Fed governors have said. Persistent rate hikes until we get inflation to 2%. He may also say the nature of the rate hikes, something along the lines of what Bowman said. The same interest rate spike you saw in the month of June and July. The Federal Reserve now comes back in September. I'm projecting 75 basis points in September all the way to December. Last weekend and all last week, I said I was worried, not about this, but something else. Wall Street has been saying 1 interest rate spike in September, and that's it. And that would be the end of the situation. Why? How could that be the case? 1 interest rate spike in September is not going to get inflation from 8.5% to 2%. In fact, the Federal Reserve has a long way to go. Wall Street, I said, is going to suffer a stock market crash because that is a narrative that's not embedding the risk of more interest rate spikes into the market. And that's what happened last Monday. Stocks crashed. 650 points. The Dow fell on Monday, 150 points on Tuesday. And it's likely to continue to crash every time the Dow, or at least stock analysts, give you that false narrative when it digresses from exactly the Fed governors say they're going to do. It's very dangerous because the stock market crash hurts everyone, even if you don't own stocks. It hurts middle America across the board. Now, what's important to understand is that inflation has potentially peaked for the top line number, but not for the component parts. And this is big for your benefits. Your benefits are going up a lot. And yes, this is lifetime stimulus. Why? Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. If, for example, your benefits go up 10% this year, that's lifetime because your benefits will always be at least that or more. And then if inflation is 2% next year, your benefits will go up 2% on top of that. Let's go over why this is so important, and then we'll go over how it calculates. Your benefits are getting the biggest lift of a generation, lifetime benefits. It's law. It's not speculation. It's law. It's gauged based on inflation. And who's that? You, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and veterans benefits. 3 months of data determine it. That's also law. We'll go over the calculation of it in just a second. What you need to know is that inflation is not settling down. Let's take it back to the month of July. On July 13th, we released the June numbers. The Consumer Price Index, which gauges how much you spend at the supermarket, the CPI, beat. The PPI, which gauges how much the wholesaler, the supermarket, pays for the goods, beat. And then also the retail sales beat. What happened last week? The retail sales for the next month came in flat. The Producer Price Index, PPI, was flat. And the CPI was a little bit lower on the high end. Let's recap now the progression. May, the CPI, which determines how much your benefits go up, surged to a whopping 8.6%, highest we've seen of a generation. 8.6% in the month of May. Then, in the month of June, it got even worse. What are the numbers? May, 8.6%. Then, June, what did it come at? Well, it was a lot higher. And that is why this is great news for your benefits. The numbers were in the May 8.6%, in June 9.1%. And that means your benefits are going up the largest of a generation. We'll go the calculations in just a second. Now let's understand why this is. Your benefits are going up. You, if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, real benefits. How much? Some of you 5,000, some of you less. Same percentage? Absolutely. Absolutely. Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail? Absolutely. Biggest lift of a generation? Yes. 3 months of data, July, August, and September. Now let's go over how it calculates, and let's go over the predictions for that number starting right now. It's dependent upon 3 months of number. The CPI-W released last Wednesday, August 10th. The CPI for this month released on September 10th. The September number released October 10th. 3 months of benefits determine how much 3 months of numbers determine how much your benefits are going up. But we may not have to live out the 3 months of numbers. When the CPI was released last week at that 8.6%, at that 8.5% print, slightly down on the high end, the Seniors League said with an 8.5% CPI, if that number stays the same over the month of August and September, you're likely to see a 10.1% raise of your benefits, 10.1%. Do I agree? I think it's a little higher. Why? Because the component parts are going higher. Yes, the headline number, the CPI, came off of that 9.1 to an 8.5, but the component parts went higher. They are salaries, they are rent, they are also food and milk and eggs. This month that we're experiencing right now, what do we see? Milk and food and eggs not really coming down. Salary's not coming down, of course not. Rent's not coming down. And gasoline, I told you it was going to track higher. Now, we have two numbers for gasoline. We have what you pay at the pump, the domestic unleaded AAA national average. That's going down a lot, 10 cents every single day. But the international price of Brent crude that will ultimately impact the price in the pumps, the AAA national average, has gone up a lot in just a short period of time. A week ago it was $92 a barrel. Then 2 days ago it was $95. Last night in the membership newsletter you saw it was $102. It could easily be 104 tonight. We'll see what happens across the board. If you believe inflation is the same this month or a little bit higher, I think it's about the same, then your benefits are going to go up a lot. And if you believe the gasoline is tracking higher, which it obviously is for the international price of Brent crude, then you believe the CPI could come in a little bit higher. That ultimately is big news for you. Remember, your benefits would automatically go up. And yes, everyone would get the same percentage raise across the board. What are the bond traders looking at going into the statements from Jay Powell tomorrow? They're all expecting Jay Powell to say interest rate spikes consecutive until we get inflation down. And that is, of course, as we're approaching that financial cliff. I say the financial cliff is September, when Americans may see a very different economy than we see tonight. Of course, you see it in the corporate downgrades across the board. That's why you want to become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP. And the big news tonight is that we have now 12 categories of checks. Yes, 12 categories of checks. In March, we had 3 categories of checks. Then, last Sunday, 2 Sundays ago, Congress passed 7 new categories of checks. That brought us to 10. Tonight, we're at 12 categories of checks. 12 categories of checks that begat about 100 to 200 checks. We'll go over all these incredible checks in just a second. The first 3 checks passed in March are about $100,000. Single individual, $75,000 less. You get it. These first 3 checks passed by executive action, not by Congress, in the month of March are check A, B, and C. Huge sums of money. You qualify. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. We've had new success stories tonight, and we've had success stories every day on this channel. Go get it. How do you get it? Become a member. Go right in this video, become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP. And in the big second half, we're going to go over those huge checks one at a time, ABC, then the 7 new checks from 2 weeks ago, E to K, and the 2 new checks tonight that are L and M, lots of money, and those are about 104,000. But tonight we have new comments about whether there is a recession or whether there is a recession. And it comes in advance of the comments from Jay Powell tomorrow. Those comments from Jay Powell tomorrow are discussed by Luke Bartholomew at Arden. He's an economist, and what does he say tonight? Powell's likely stressed the policy has a long way to go before the Fed will feel comfortable in turning the corner to restore price stability. Much of what I've been saying, yes. Federal Reserve has a lot of interest rate spikes going, and if you're betting against the Federal Reserve, you're going to lose. Bond yields are indicating that tonight as the bond yields of the Treasury, with the Treasury and the bond traders going higher. Yield on the 10-year Treasury note did drop about 1.5 basis point. 30-year note fell about 1 basis point to 3.0330. But overall, the bond yields are up in recent days. Today, we started with a major comment, though, by a renowned Nobel Prize-winning economist, Richard Thaler. What did he say? He says we're not in a recession. Do I agree? No, I don't agree. And in the big second half, we'll go over his economic analysis, and we'll compare it against mine. And I'll let you decide who's correct, him or me. Get ready to jump into the live chat, and we'll discuss that in the big second half. What do you want to do? You go into this video, become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP. Then you get checks A through L and M. Yes, 12 categories of checks in the membership newsletter. Where in the membership newsletter? For members, delivered at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And one of the benefits of the membership newsletter is not only going in there and getting the checks in the membership newsletter, but also getting the worksheets. Here are the worksheets for the members in the newsletter nightly, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's a series of pages you can print out from your phone or your computer, and you can take notes on them. Tonight, we know a lot of details on some of those pages. Page 1 is the details of inflation. Well, a new report out of Citibank says that England could suffer 18% inflation by January next year. Ouch. Ouch. Will Jay Powell get a 2% inflation in the United States by December? No, but we're hoping it doesn't go the other direction. It doesn't look like it is. Recession. Tonight, we know there is a housing recession. Tonight, we know there is an economic recession. The U.S. economy posted 2 negative quarters of GDP growth so far this year. And we also know there's a housing recession. The data that came in for housing yesterday and all this week has been very, very bad. Home prices fell for the biggest decline since 2011 on August 24th. That was according to Black Knight. It was the largest single month of decline since 2011. It's the first month of decline in 3 years. That was that day. August 15th, the National Association of Home Builders chief economist, who is Lawrence Yun, said you are in a housing recession. That was as the builders' confidence has dropped. And he actually said, builders are not building. He said, builders are not building. We had the housing shocker on August 17th when home builder cancellation rates, this is people who are trying to buy a home, they back out, have doubled since April, especially in Texas, one of the largest surges. Then we had 2 days ago the Previously owned home sales fell for 6% compared to the month of June. And it was one of the most significant drops. It was 20% down from the year ago, just really bad. Just day after day, the housing recession is manifesting itself left and right. Labor. Lowest unemployment rate since 1969. Yes, that was released last month. But the unemployment claims the worst of 2022 2 weeks ago. And tonight at 240, 243, it's still the second worst level of the year. Federal Reserve. This is very important. The Federal Reserve has made very clear with Bowman, Bullard, and Daly, they're going to stay with it with those interest rate spikes until they get inflation to 2%. They're at 8.5. How long have they been trying for this? Since January. How quickly does it move? Doesn't move much quickly at all. And that's what Jay Powell's going to say tomorrow at Jackson Hole. He may likely say what Bowman said. We're going to stay with those interest rate spikes, similarly situated to what we've done before, June and July, with 75 basis points. I said that's what Jay Powell's going to do every single month until December. Let's see if I got it right. What is Wall Street saying? No spikes after October. Oh boy, that's not accurate. Let's go to that second page of the worksheet. This is where people are really winning. Second page of the worksheet is where you keep track of all the incredible checks you apply for. Now let's recap. 12 categories of checks. How many checks are in there? Check A is one check, the weatherizing check. Check B is now 80 to 100 checks. Why? Because you got 5 bills per month. You got rent and all the utilities. That's about 4 per month. That's 4 plus 1, 5 per month. Average view of this channel is getting about 14 to 18 months. Let's use 14. That's about 60, 70, 80 checks a month. And it's just incredible. Check C is much the same. The only difference with Check C is reaching out to 12 places to get those Check Cs, and they're all in the membership newsletter. Then E to K is one category check, one check E each. L and M. L is about $100,000 as a loan, but M is a check, pure check, and it's lots of items in that category. So look see how many checks that is. That's a lot. That's approaching 200 checks. It's all on this channel, and I'm so proud of you for really pushing and getting those checks. Last Saturday, a viewer got 14 months of rent. The day before that, another viewer got 14 months of rent. The day before that, a viewer got 12 months of utilities. You see your narrative? Yeah, 14 and 12, 14 and 12. Spelly got check A, Spelly got check C. A viewer out of Florida got 80 to 100 checks for check B. She had applied for check B. She just forgot she did. And what happened? She got contacted by the state of Florida and says, ma'am, you've been approved for check B. Oh, great. Mortgage assistance? Yes. Wow. 1 month? No. 18 months. Wow. That's a lot of money. She also applied for all her utilities. Oh my goodness, that's about 5 checks per month for 18 months. That's huge. Incredible sums of money. 80 plus checks is more than $80,000, folks. The next page is number 4, 6 stimulus, your gasoline. I told you gasoline was going to go higher. It is. It has. 92 international Brent crude last week. It's now 102, 104. We're not done with the week. Why? As we approach the fall months, less demand, more production. And with less, I said that reverse. More demand, less production. There's going to be less production because they're at full capacity in the month of July. They can't keep that up. It was special production then. Refineries go offline in the fall months because of hurricanes or tornadoes, and the demand increases because you're driving to school. There's a lot of people on the road. More demand, less output. Yes, this is why the price is going up. And then we have your benefit raises. We went over that calculation. You put it into a table and run the different numbers. And finally, student loan debt forgiveness. Basically, the run of student loan debt forgiveness on the channel. The president already had forgiven student loan debts for individuals who became disabled after graduation, went to work in the nonprofit or public sector after graduation, people who were defrauded by the university. The worksheets are wonderful. Again, they are in the membership newsletter. You want to go down on the membership newsletter. First lines are price of gasoline tonight, wheat and corn. Then the membership newsletter then goes over check A, B, and C. Then it goes into check E to K. And then it goes into check L and M. In the second half of this video, we're going to go over those 12 categories of checks. Everything you need to know in those big 12 categories of checks. But first, I want to jump into those comments by a renowned economist that were made today about where this economy is. Are we in a recession? 2 negative quarters of GDP growth have been posted by the U.S. economy that defines itself as a recession. But he says, who cares about the definition? It's not a recession because the labor number, specifically the unemployment rate, is the lowest since 1969. Let me read you his comments, and then we'll analyze them in the big second half. His comments are that yes, it has been 2 successive quarters of negative GDP growth, but that's just funny. That's a direct quote. That's just funny to describe this as a recession. Then he says, I don't see anything that resembles a recession. Is record low unemployment, high vacancies. It looks like a strong economy. At least some of the high prices we're observing were caused directly by the war in Ukraine or by problems in China. And we hope those factors will be temporary. Maybe a year from now, we'll start fighting in Ukraine and there'll still be COVID in China. But if that's not the case, then we mitigated these items that are going to go down. Do I agree? I really don't agree. And the big second half, we'll go over why I don't agree, and ultimately you can vote. Did I get it right? Did he get it right? Then we'll go over why Jay Powell's comments are so important for understanding your economy. Those comments come in tomorrow. I believe it's 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll feature them on this channel when they erupt. In the big second half, we're going to go over check A to M. 12 categories of checks, 100 to 200 possible checks. If you become a member, get them right now. If you haven't become a member right now. Go into this video, become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Then stay the big second half as we go over all these incredible checks from the shores of Santa Monica, California. We're just getting started on a big evening's broadcast. See you back in 60 seconds as Evenings LALATE continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now for August 25th, 2022 from the shores of Santa Monica, California. It'll be a beautiful night across the board. In this big second half, we're going to go over these now 12 categories of checks you qualify for. The first 3 checks are $100,000 at least. The last 2 checks are over $100,000 as well. So there's a lot of money in these 12 categories of checks. You want to become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. You want to get these big sums of money, go right in this video and become a member. Join this channel. And in this big second half, we're going to go over all these incredible checks starting right now. The first 3 checks are check A, B, and C. They were passed by the President of the United States by executive action in the month of March. And you qualify. We're going to go over those incredible checks starting right now from the shores of Santa Monica, California in a big second half. Check A is a wonderful $6,500 to $6,500 to $12,000 for stimulus check in every U.S. state. You have the ability to go get that money, and that's what Spelly got. $6,500 to $12,000, a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. If you're on benefits, go get it as well. How do you get it? Step 1, go under the video and join the channel. Become a member of LALATE. Join the channel. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. Welcome to the hundreds of new members that have joined this channel in the last few days. Become a member, get that membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alerts. Go down to where it says Check A and go get that incredible check A. It's just so great. Huge sum of money, but you're not stopping there yet. You're going to go get check B. Check B is a wonderful check. And how much is it? It's $15,000 to $80,000 for a stimulus check in every U.S. state. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. How do you get it? Step one, go onto this video and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. You're watching LALATE, the #3 most watched financial news channel in America. You want to be part of this incredible broadcasting family. With 3 channels, LALATE 1, LALATE 2, and LALATE 3. Make sure you subscribe to all 3 channels right now. Then go into the video to this channel and become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Become a member and get that incredible details delivered to you Monday through Friday. Go down to where it says Check B, click the link, and go in and get it. This is the viewer out of Florida. She got 80 to 100 checks. We're not done there yet. Go get Check C for rent, utilities, mortgages, and some more. Go into the video and get that incredible Check C. How do you do it? Become a member. Go down to Check C in the newsletter after B and A, obviously. And it tells you who to call, what to say, and how to say it. The incredible sums of money across the board are ready for you. You're not done with Check C, but let's look at some of those incredible success stories for Check C that have been on this channel since 2020. I've been getting viewers $50 million since this channel launched, and Check C has been a lot of that money. Here are some of the success stories for Check C. For rent, from Nisi all the way up to Elizabeth, $30,000, incredible. For rent, utilities, go get Check C. Look at this. Mark got $6,500, but his brother-in-law got $15,000. For SNAP, huge. His brother-in-law is getting $250,000 over 10 years. Look at the combinations. Nisi went from $23,000 to $50,000. Here is Lorraine, who is at 105. She went to 150. She celebrated her birthday yesterday. And here is the wonderful Mark, who went from $32,000 to this graphic, $50,000. Then he went to $100,000, and then he went to $166,000. That is check A, B, and C. 3 checks passed by the President of the United States by executive action in March, and viewers have been getting it ever since March. But 2 Sundays ago, a series of new checks, 7 new checks, became law. Where? In the bill passed by Congress. Those 7 new checks are incredible. I'm going to go over those 7 new checks starting right now. They are check E to K, and they're huge. Lots of money, and everything you need to know starts right now on this E through K. How much is E? E is $7,500. F is $4,000. Then G is a whopping percentage off of 30%, but H is $2,000. I is $8,000, and so is J, also $8,000, and K is $14,000. Where do you find E through K? In the membership newsletter. You go down past A, past check B, past check C, to where it says E through K, and go get it. The 2 new checks that came out on this channel yesterday are L, like lots, and M, like money. L is 1 check, and it's about $100,000 on average of loan interest-free money for the purchase of a new home. Wow, that's a lot of money. But M is a series of different checks in the category, about $4,000 in grant monies for closing cost assistance when buying a new home. That's a lot of checks, and it's about $4,000 of them, and that is M. Check L and M are now in the membership newsletter, pass E through K. Lower in the newsletter, of course, is the student loan debt forgiveness. In case you missed the video, whatever, at any time, it is now featured in the newsletter, so I don't have to record it anymore going forward. And then finally, your raise of your benefits is also in that incredible newsletter. Go into the video, become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Go get those incredible checks across the board. To recap, there are no other checks out there. Congress is about to go on recess. There will be no other checks in the month of August. There will be no other checks in early September. There may not be any other checks any other time in the next 60 days. Become a member. Get these incredible checks across the board. Step 1, go into this video, join the channel. Become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. You can be a member of LALATE 1, you can be a member of LALATE 2, you can be a member of LALATE 3. The newsletter is delivered on all 3 channels at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alerts. Yes, that's 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock Central. Let's go back in those comments that came in today by that renowned economist about this economic situation. Are we in a recession or are we not in a recession? And what do we need to know about the situation left and right? First, do I agree with his comments? I think he's renowned. I think he's very accomplished, but I really don't agree at all with his comments. His comments are incorrect on many regards. First, he says that this is not a recession because the labor rate, in this case, the unemployment rate at least last week, 6.9%, the lowest since 1960. Not 6.9%, the lowest rate since 1969. I'm putting the data, making a rate. The lowest number since 1969 is the reason why there is no recession. I don't think you get to do that. I don't think you get to use one data to invalidate the definition of recession. I'm going to take one data point, which is the unemployment rate, and say that there is no recession because the unemployment rate is so great. Well, guess what? I could do the same thing with other data points to undo that argument. Housing. I could use the housing data I just ran for you. The worst numbers for housing since 2011, since the last recession. New home sales down. Existing home sales down. Building down. Prices down. Biggest drop year to date. Builder confidence down. Cancellation costs all down. And that's Associated Home Builders saying it's a housing recession. Yeah, so I don't think you can just take one data point. In fact, I can use multiple industries. I can use retail. I can use Dollar General. I can use Target last week or the week before. I can use Nordstrom's from yesterday. I can have today's earnings guidance. 3 companies guiding downward for the rest of this year. And they are Dollar General. And we have Salesforce. And we have NVIDIA, and then we have others guiding downward. You could really run this the other way by showing other data points. So I don't think that makes really good sense to say one data point invalidates the purpose of defining this as a recession. Number 2, when he talks about the supply chain disruption, it's all wrong. I don't agree at all, and I think this is very basic. The supply chain disruption that's hitting the United States, which is basically getting the products from the manufacturer to you, getting it from the farm to your store, getting it from the shipper to you, that supply chain disruption did not start with Vladimir Putin invading Ukraine, did not start with the COVID lockdowns in China in March or April. It didn't start then. It started when we came out of a lockdown in the United States. And that was before March and April of this year. It was back around January. So I don't think he basically is even pigeonholing the right dates across the board. Number 3, as said on Afternoons LALATE, I don't like the adverb or adjective he's using to describe the situation when he says the definition of recession in his mind is just funny. By using 2 consecutive quarters of negative economic growth is just funny to describe it as being recession. I don't like that terminology. Some Americans are really hurting right now. Some businesses are really hurting right now. And to describe something that is really not helping people financially, the economic elements at issue, as funny, or at least the definition of recession as funny, I just think it's not appropriate language at the time. Here's what you need to know about Jay Powell's comments and why his comments tomorrow are perhaps the most important comments you're going to hear in 30 or 60 days. His comments are so important because Wall Street got this really wrong. And it's so easy to get it right, and I don't know why Wall Street does this. Ultimately, I can't get in the mind of stock traders. And when I say Wall Street, I'm referring specifically to stock traders, not to bond traders who got it right and oil traders who got it right. Over the last 3 weeks, we've had Fed governors come out and say, this is what the Federal Reserve will do. Bullard, Daly, Bauman. What the federal government has with the Federal Reserve is the same approach decade after decade. Give guidance ahead of time before you do something so that when you do it, you don't shock the markets. If the Federal Reserve is going to announce that lobster shorts will be determined as a fashion emergency in September, then expect the Federal Reserve to say that in September. If they're going to say a San Francisco hairstyle is just not up to date with the current styles, and they're going to announce it in September, assume the Federal Reserve is going to announce it. That's how you go with it. They do not like to shock the markets, and they don't want to shock people with a hairstyle. So when they give you guidance, assume that's what they're going to do. What did Wall Street do? assumed the opposite. No, you don't assume the opposite. And Bowman, specifically Michelle Bowman, I really liked her comments. Her comments were very, very clear. We will stay with these interest rate spikes until we get inflation down to our target 2%. Until. How much does an interest rate move? Wow, they've been working on this since January. It's only gotten from where it was in January down to 8.5%. Not much of achievement. It's not going to drop from 8.5% to 2% in 1 week, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. It's not going to drop that fast. That's why you need a lot of interest rate spikes. How many interest rate spikes? Month after month. That's why I've been saying interest rate spikes from September all the way to December. Am I confident in saying 75 basis point every month? Well, Bowman says we need to stay with what we're doing. Federal Reserve tried 50 basis point earlier this year. It didn't work. Then they went to 75 in June and July. Do you think they would come back to 50 basis point? Absolutely not. It would send a wrong message that, you know what, we can soften our approach. There is nothing indicating whatsoever in this economy that inflation has softened and that the Federal Reserve should soften its approach. I think it would send a wrong message to do 50 basis point in September. Not going to happen. The Federal Reserve will only do a Fed pivot, as the Wall Street stock traders want, when they see inflation dropping dramatically. And what is that? Bowen says we need to have a dramatic drop. Half a percentage point for the headline number is not enough, and stay down there at our target rate for a while. So you need to go from 8.5 to 2 and stay at 2 for several months. How far away are we from that? We're very far away from that event. And if Wall Street continues to bet against that, Wall Street continue to crash. If Wall Street continues to crash, it'll hurt middle America, the consumer, the buyer, all of you, because ultimately crashing Wall Street is a bad element for consumer confidence. Wall Street crashes will be seen by the consumer and say, there's something wrong. I don't own stocks, but I see there's something wrong. I think there's something wrong with this economy. They already understand inflation is controlling, and they understand inflation is too high. They already understand that there's recessionary pressures, and some people don't even understand there is a recession. So ultimately, that's what's important to understand. And when an economist comes out and says there's no recession by using one data point, I disagree. Who do you vote for? Me or the economist? Jump in the live chat right now. Anyone who votes against me, I don't know. I may delete that comment. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go over everything else that's making news tonight. Everything else that's making news tonight is that these are big checks. I'm very, very proud of you. What you have done in a very short period of time is take the information on this channel and run with it. It was a year ago that I was saying get one round and then get multiple rounds. What was a round at the time? 3 or 4 months of rent, 3 or 4 months of utilities. And I was using the example of January to March. And I said, if you got through March, then go back and get March to that month. Well, you're now getting on average 12 months, on average 14 months, on average 18 months. You're doing a really good job. I want you to stay with it. If you're in the live chat, use that as your motivation. If you're in the live chat, please understand that this channel has a distinct approach to the news reporting. First, I give you guidance on where this economy is, where it's going. I'd separate the data from the analysis because the data is very important. The analysis is less important because people may disagree on the analysis. Then I go over how to get the money by showing you the money as more checks become available, more is delivered on this channel. The night that the 3 checks became law by the President of the United States by executive action, they went into the membership newsletter. The night that those 7 checks became law by Congress on a Sunday, they went to the membership newsletter the following Monday. But there was a special broadcast, a live broadcast when it happened. And the first time that those 2 checks, L and M, became very clear this week, they immediately went into the membership newsletter and went on air. And that was, of course, last night. You don't want to miss a recording. That's why you want to become a member, stay a member, and continue to get checks. People like Lorraine are really encouraging and motivational news. People like Mark, people like Nisi, what do? They're in all the live chats. They watch the videos. They keep on getting rounds of money, and they keep on pouncing. What do? Step 1, go into the video, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Step 2, go into the video, join the channel, become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino, VIP. Step 3, get that membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alerts. Remember, that's 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which is 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. And get those incredible checks. Ultimately, whoever you agreed with, whether it was me or the economists, on whether it is or is a recession, what do you need to err on? Caution. How do you do it? Get as much stimulus as you can, raise your savings, and remove your debt in the household, whether it's flexible rate, especially, or any fixed. Why? Because the Federal Reserve is definitely going to raise those rates. As the Federal Reserve raises those rates, then your items have more costs associated with them. You don't be carrying something with higher rates in weeks to come because guess what? They're going to go higher across the board. Yet at some point, you're going to see that real bad consumer confidence really drop, spending drop, income drop. And you want to be ahead of the ball game. You get all this incredible money by becoming a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Get these incredible sums of money across the board. And finally, my commentary tonight. Amidst all your successes, and you've been doing a great job, you've been doing a really, really good job. There's always sporadically, one or two people who want to jump in the live chat, not listen to the policies, the chat policies of this channel, and really run their narrative, and it's false. One. There's a particular person, for example, the last 2 days who keeps on jumping in the live chat and say, in my state, you have to be behind on mortgages, on your bills for mortgage to get mortgage assistance. In the case of mortgages, mortgage assistance is not paid by one place. In the membership, that person was not a member, of course. In the membership newsletter, you can see 12 places to get mortgage assistance. And tonight, we even have more potential places with those new rounds of checks. There's lots of places to get that mortgage assistance. Number two, there's always a person who says, whatever happened? We've been having that person since day one of the channel. Whatever happened before you had this channel? Whatever happened before you had this channel? Whatever happened when Nancy had curly hair? Whatever happened when Bernie had hair? Whatever happened when Janet Yellen was a blonde? Whatever happened when this guy was a blonde? Yeah. Whatever happened when J Powell did stand-up routines? Whatever happened? It's always that comment. Whatever happened? This is the present. The status quo. This is today. And I just laugh every time I see that quote. Whatever happened? In Los Angeles, maybe in your city, we used to have a department store called Bullock's, Bullock. There's a lot of department stores that used to be around. Whatever happened to Bullock's? Lost their shirt and closed their doors. But it's closed. You can't go back to Bullock's. But cut it out. You can't go back to Bullock's. So I'm sure you have a similar department store you loved in your town and does no longer exist. Jump in live chat. What is that department store you used to have and you really enjoyed it, but it went bankrupt or sold its name or, became something else? Whatever happened? Do you sit around and talk about that department store? Whatever happened? You may say, I miss it, and you move on. But you don't look, you don't go to the parking lot where you used to stand and look at the door and say, I miss you. Whatever happened to you and me and you? Whatever happened to you and me? Just move on. Live your life. Bullock's does not exist, and so do not stand in that parking lot and look at the structure and say, whatever happened to you? Just move on. This is the status. Get the money today. You got a Macy's, you got a Nordstrom today, so if you miss Bullock's, do not go to the parking lot and bring flowers and put it in front of the store like it's dead, because it is dead. You need to move on. And anyone that's conjuring up the War of 1812, got to move on. This is not 1812, so let's not talk about the War of 1812. We need to deal with the, the stimulus battle of 2022. Also, what's important to understand is that the week is far from over. And that ultimately we have those comments from J Powell on Friday, so critical across the board. If Wall Street continues to not embed the risk into the markets of what the Federal Reserve is doing, this is big and bad news for you. Because ultimately, assessing the risk is what Wall Street's supposed to do. If assessing the risk is not done by Wall Street, stocks will crash. If stocks crash, consumer confidence goes away. Consumer confidence is gone, and then guess what they do? They come to this channel. They start getting stimulus. Meantime, don't presume that unemployment claims are going to stay down. Don't presume that gasoline is going to stay down. It actually hasn't. It's gone the other direction. Don't believe that just the rent, utilities, the mortgage assistance, the price of gas, the price of milk and eggs are going to stay down. Some of those items have no indication of going up and also have no indication of going down. And they're still at 20% up, 15% up, the highest raise of nearly 20 years, and there's no indication that they're going down. That is why inflation is here. That's a lifetime stimulus. Remember, the raise of your benefits is law. It's not a question mark, it's law. We're only waiting to see how much it goes up across the board. That newsletter is so simple. The LALATE newsletter is delivered Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alerts. Again, that is 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. What is a YouTube alert? This is a YouTube alert. See the title for members only, new LA Post. How is it delivered? By email. Look at the time, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. There's always a person every, 2 weeks that sends me a message that says, I get so many alerts, but you only get one alert at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I make the alerts. There's only one alert at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock Central. What does alert look like? Let's look at this one even close up. Zoom into the image. There it is. New LALATE membership newsletter today. The 4 mailboxes. Go down in the alert. This is again the alert. Past this guy with the surfboard. Past that YouTube alert. Past the guy. Lower to what says view post. Click the link. It'll send you right in and go get these incredible checks. Get that incredible newsletter, which now features not just check A, B, and C, which is $100,000. Now L&M, which is $104,000, of which $4,000 is yours. The other $100,000 is an interest loan. Then checks E through K, which is all yours. Lots of money. Over 100 possible checks for you with A through C alone at approximately $100,000. Why would you not get it? Become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP. The programming continues throughout the night. Remember, evenings LA at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time is the breaking news report every night on this channel. So is LA Live. That starts at about 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time nightly. 6 o'clock is Countdown. 7 o'clock is Street and Stimulus. 8 o'clock is Extra. 9 o'clock, Sunset, and then the programming continues throughout the night and then returns at early mornings LA on air, 4 a.m., mornings Countdown at 7, and then mornings LA live on air as well at 9 a.m. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, God bless. Become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP. And here again is LA 3 and LA 2, which will have some surprises coming to you in the next few days. See you through tonight, and don't forget to become a member.